You've brought humans into this chamber, Degra. Explain yourself if you expect them to leave here alive.
I have to admit that as I watch these back to back, I am beginning to be enthralled with the Xindi War story arc. In the latest Star Trek Enterprise episode, The Council, Archer and Hoshi appear before the Xindi to plead their case and why the Xindi weapon should not be launched to destroy humanity. It's actually pretty interesting. This episode barely has any combat and is basically humanity put on trial. Archer and Hoshi being the defendants pleading their case before the races of the Xindi. The arboreals and primates are on the side of humanity, with the insectoids and reptilians firmly wanting to kill every human alive. The aquatics would appear to be the X factor, still undecided. Which is interesting because apparently it takes an act of God for the aquatics to do anything. While there are technically two plots here,
I see it.
one involving going into a sphere and getting its computer core, there's really not a ton there in that respect. The computer core will help them in the next few episodes, but the more interesting piece of it is the dialogue given to us by the security officer.
I'm fine. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we're getting a bit too comfortable with losing people. 23 men and women. On any given mission, the limit of acceptable casualties is 20%. So says traditional military doctrine. Well, we've crossed that margin.
A common thread in the last few episodes, and continuity of the entire arc really, is its exploration on how all of this takes a toll on the people of the NX-01.
There's a Vulcan axiom. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Corporal Hawkins understood that.
That doesn't make his death any more acceptable.
No. But it makes it honorable.
Additionally, while I really don't agree with T'Pol's counter and the use of the tired Vulcan maxim, I like how she uses it to comfort Reed. It's a good moment. But with that little piece out of the way, we'll get back to the A-plot, the courtroom drama. With Degra convinced, the Xindi primates, along with help from the aquatics and the arboreals, escort the NX-01 Enterprise to the council chambers. Degra detonates a warhead next to a reptilian ship that stands in the way, advising them that he will destroy the ship if they don't allow the NX-01 to proceed. Ultimately, they relent and we don't yet have our Xindi Civil War. As stated before, Archer and Hoshi go before the various races to argue their points. They provide evidence after evidence with counter after counter. In the end, the humans are basically called liars. During this time, we learn that the Sphere Builders had been deified, that they helped the Xindi so much that entire prayers were dedicated to them. It's actually an ingenious plan. Become deities for a people and help them come together so you can use them. Though ingenious as it is, it does bring up two questions. First, why didn't we see this deification beforehand? The Xindi ships, things they had on them, pieces of clothing. Why all of a sudden are we learning about this? Nothing pointed to a deification. It's a pretty quiet religion. But beyond that, why are the Sphere Builders attempting to take over this universe anyway? Why are they trying to move into a new one? Is there any real purpose to it? They've never stated why. We know they are a part of the Temporal Cold War, but what exactly is the end game here? It's weird. Is their own timeline failing? Are they just conquerors? Why do they want to move into the area? Hell, the more I think about it, why do they deify themselves before a race to have that race genocide another to win a war? Why not just go to Earth and help the Terrans destroy themselves? Or they become deities before the Terrans and use them to take over the galaxy. If the Terrans are the main goal, why use another species? If humanity is the ultimate real threat, anyway, quantum, who cares? Moving on. While Archer continues to make his arguments, the Sphere Builders move to manipulate the Xindi. They first approach Degra, telling him he's going to be a great man unless he does this. This doesn't work, of course, and when he denies them, the Sphere Builders go to the Reptilians and promise them dominance. During all of this, we also have a really good conclusion to Tucker's arc.
Your captain thinks there's no one better to make these modifications. I agree.
Do me a favor, don't try to get on my good side.
Look, I understand you and I will always be enemies.
You got that right.
I can't change what happened to your sister, or any of the 7 million. But I'm risking my life I'm risking the lives of my family. I've killed members of my own species, all because I'm trying to save both our worlds.
This way.
While his hatred of Xindi does feel a bit out of nowhere, it has progressed through a few episodes, and we get to see him come to terms with the fact that they're going to be allying with the very people who killed his sister and who he initially wanted to destroy. It's well written and acted. Ultimately, the Sphere Builders are able to convince the Reptilians, who trick the Council by saying they're open to believing humanity, to take the good guys off guard.
The crew of that ship are the last Zindy you'll ever betray.
They use the piece to ultimately assassinate Degra and take over the weapon. The Reptilians demand that the Council fall in line and move to kill all humans, or a Reptilian Insectoid alliance will use the sphere to kill the humans for them. The Council doesn't relent, and the Enterprise, Arboreals, and Primates move to engage the Reptilian and Insectoid fleets. The Reptilians are able to not only defend themselves, but they successfully capture Hoshi and escape with the weapon. And that's where it ends. Stay tuned, because we're going to be getting into it hot and heavy. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next Lore Reloaded.